So we're talking about how do you have difficult conversations in your relationship. Now, one of the worst things you can possibly do is pretend like nothing is going on in your relationship. If there is a problem, you need to address the problem. Pretending like there's nothing going on is either going to cause either one of you guys to have to walk on eggshells, and the solution and the problem will never be solved. The whole point when you have a conversation with someone is to get the message across from the way you're feeling to them, and to hope that they understand that, and allow them to understand what you are trying to tell them. That's important, because some of us, when we go into conversations, we just talk without a purpose. When you open up your mouth, and I've said it before, when you open up your mouth, you need to always make sure that there is a purpose and a reason why you are having a conversation with your spouse. Now, we learn that men communicate differently than women. Guys, when they have a conversation, their conversation is they automatically know, okay, this is for a reason. That's with them. Women, we use conversation to be able to connect with people, not guys. So when you tell your husband that you want to talk about something, he automatically gets that probably look at you saying, oh, here we go. Or he automatically believes that there is a problem. The point is, you need to eliminate that part where your husband automatically doesn't want to talk. You want him, whenever you want to bring up a conversation, that he doesn't get defensive or he doesn't get upset. And it's the same thing with you. So you guys got to learn how to communicate with each other to a point where it doesn't get so in an uproar. Difficult conversations have to happen. You have to have those conversations. Avoiding them will not work. If you are in a relationship with someone, and every time you have that conversation with someone, you have to understand what kind of person you are communicating with before you have a conversation with someone. So if you know that when you try to bring up your feelings or how you feel, that your husband's gonna automatically become defensive, get angry, throw a fit, then you might want to already prepare yourself for that. You want to already get yourself in a mindset. Okay, this is probably what he's going to do, and not react to that. Because some of us, we get to a point where we want to have the conversation, we got ourselves prepared, we get in front of our spouse starts reacting a certain way, and we completely forget what we came for, and we start getting emotional, they start getting emotional, and the whole point of the conversation has been lost. So you want to make sure that when you're having that conversation with your spouse, that you're preparing yourself for there's a possibility that he might get up in an uproar. Also realize, if you have a spouse that is incapable of having a good understanding, okay? Some of you have conversations with you, you have the same conversation with your spouse over and over and over and over again. You guys are getting the same outcome. You have to tell yourself, okay, maybe I need to switch it up so that we don't keep going, being in the hamster wheel is what I call it. So today I'm going to give you some things that help you to be able to have those difficult conversations with your spouse. I'm going to give you some ABCs first of having difficult conversations. So A, check your expectations, okay? If you expect that conversation to go wrong, guess what's going to happen? The conversation is going to go wrong. If you expect the conversation is going to make things in your relationship get worse, then guess what? That is what's going to happen. You have to check your expectations when you're going into a conversation with someone. Expect that things are going to work out well. Expect that you guys are going to come out with a solution. If you already go into a conversation with a negative mindset, then that's probably what's going to happen. Negative things are going to come out of the conversation, because if you're going into the conversation with a negative mindset, then your nonverbal communication will reflect how you are truly feeling. Because sometimes we may be saying one thing, but we're thinking another. And our nonverbal communication, like you're rolling of your eyes, you're folding your arms, you're sitting back, you're not really giving them eye contact. All those things are telling your spouse that you're really not in the conversation and you really don't want to be in the conversation. And also, you're telling them that you already have a negative mindset about what they're going to say, about the whole situation. When you have a conversation with someone, remember, it's for a purpose. Some of us just open up our mouths and we just saying things and we're not checking what we're saying. Our mouths, there's life and death is in the power of your tongue. So every time you open up your mouth, you need to open up your mouth for a purpose. Always, okay? Don't just open up your mouth just to say the first thing that comes to your head or the first thing that comes that you think. No, you need to think about what you're going to say. And when you're going into a conversation with someone, think about why you're going into that conversation. Why do you want to talk? And that leads me right into the next thing. Why do you want to talk to that person? Okay, why are you having the conversation? Why do you even want to open up your mouth and talk to them? Are you trying to gain a better perspective? A better understanding of your spouse's perspective? Are you trying to get a clear understanding? Do you want to confront something that has happened? Like you found out something that they've done. You may have found a text message. You may have found something in their car. You may have found something very suspicious. So you want to confront that person. When you're having a conversation with your spouse, what is your purpose behind the conversation? Why are you having it? When you're approaching them, why are you approaching them? Are you just approaching them to piss them off even more than what they are? Are you approaching them to upset yourself even more than what you are? No, the purpose of the conversation should always be to gain a better understanding of something or whatever it is that you're questioning. Okay. Stop wasting your words, okay? Your words have purpose. Your words, ladies, gentlemen, if I have guys watching me, they have purpose, okay? You can make or break a conversation, a situation through your words. Just like you can manifest positive things, you can manifest negative things. The Bible tells us to do all things in love. All things in love. If you're not doing things in love, then guess what? You're going to get that negative reaction, okay? You can get more flies with honey than you can get with vinegar. So teach yourself that when you're having conversations, don't worry about what your spouse, because some of you guys tell me, well, Ty, every time I talk to him, he got an attitude. Okay, so if he jumps off of a bridge, are you going to jump off the bridge too? You don't have that much control over yourself that you can't calm yourself, keep yourself at a steady pace and keep yourself calm while he over there acting a fool. Then you need to check yourself, because if two fools are arguing, how is anybody going to recognize which one is the fool? Okay, so teach yourself to be able to keep yourself calm even in the midst of chaos, even in the midst of someone acting crazy, because they're not going to be able to continue to do that, because they're not going to argue with themselves, okay? If your spouse if you're arguing back and forth with them, then they have someone to argue with. But if you keep yourself calm and they going crazy and you tell them, you know what, I'm not going to argue with you. What are you going to do, argue with himself? If he does that, then there's more going on than what you think is going on. Let me plug up my phone. Gotta plug up my phone. I wanted to. Okay, I've been working all day and didn't put the phone on charge, so I'm trying to put it on so it doesn't do that. All right. So after you ask yourself why you're having the conversation with your spouse, this is C, because we're giving you ABCs of having difficult conversations. This is C. Accept that there's probably going to be stress. Accept that there's probably going to be tension. Accept that there's going to be that your spouse is going to become defensive. Accept the fact that there's going to be emotions, especially if you guys are talking about something that is, especially if you guys are talking about something that is intense. Like, you know, what we talk about with infidelity, or if you found something that is very skeptical to you, or if you you're going to talk about something that is very touchy to them. You have to think about those, accept the fact that there's probably going to be some defensive-ness. There's probably going to be, think about it when you approach your kids. And I don't like to call adults kids, but I like to use that as a good example. When you approach your children, you already expect that they're probably going to lie to you. You already expect that they're not going to give you the whole story. They may give you parts of the story, but they're not going to give you the whole story. So because you already know that, you're not going to just flip out and go crazy because your child is lying to you, or your child is telling you something different. You're going to kind of be there and be like, I know you're lying to me. I know. In the back of your head, you're going to say, I already know. And you have to kind of think about that when you're talking to your spouse. You know already that they probably gonna come with some stuff when you're having that conversation with them. So prepare yourself already for it, okay? Don't, go have your fit, go punch a punching bag, go do whatever it is that you need to do. So that way, when you have that conversation with your spouse, that when you have that conversation with your spouse, that you're not all in your emotions, that you're able to actually have a conversation that is going to reap results, that's going to reap positive things coming out of it. All right. So I'm going to give you guys some strategies on how to have conversations. Those are what I just gave you was my A, B, and C's of how to have difficult conversations. These are going to be my actual strategies that I'm going to give you to help you guys out. So if you are listening to me and you got a piece of paper and pen, please make sure that you jot these things down, so that way you can use them, meditate on them later, so that way you can think about them before you have that conversation with your spouse. Okay, so number one, I want you to stop. When you approach your spouse to have a conversation, stop saying, can we talk? Stop saying, we need to talk, okay? Those words automatically bring in the fight or flight defense mechanism that we naturally have. If you do not know what that is, naturally, when you get upset, naturally, when you feel yourself being attacked, you will either fight or you will flight. And usually you'll fight back with anger, you'll fight back with negative words, you'll fight back with defensiveness, with defensive stuff, or you will shut down. Okay, so that is what happens. Some people, when they feel attacked, or when they feel like they're being when they hear something that they don't like to hear, they're either going to become very angry and aggressive about the situation, and that's the fight, or they're going to shut down and not want to talk about it, and that's the flight. Okay, so you're probably one that I'm one where I like to fight. No, we gonna talk about this. No, we need to do this. My husband is one where he is the flight. He will shut down. He don't want to deal. He's like, I don't want to deal with you right now. So you have to know what kind of mechanism does your spouse use? Because if you know that they're the type of person where they're going to shut down when you have a conversation with them, then you need to expect that. Okay, I know they're going to shut down, so I'm not even going to get upset about that, but let me just continue talking about what it is that I need to talk about. Okay, clarify that you want to fix the situation. When you're talking to your spouse, bring solutions into the situation as well. Don't just come into the conversation just argue. attacking them. Well, you do this, you do that, you don't do this, you don't make me feel this way. No, that is going to automatically make him get defensive, okay? And we just talked about fight or flight. So if you're attacking him and you're giving him, you need to do this, you need to do that. Remember, we also talked about using more I statements and less you statements. So if you're constantly telling him you're making your spouse feel attacked. And when he feels attacked or she feels attacked, two things are going to happen: the fight or the flight. Okay, so you need to let them know that your goal is to fix the situation. And if you're not calm, if you have not taught, if you're not calm, or if you're not rational and you're having this conversation, then no, you guys are not going to come up with a great solution. So you have to before you go into the conversation, before you start the conversation, let your spouse know that, hey, I understand that this is what happens, but my goal is to fix the situation. We're going to fix this. Okay, there's instead of, like I said, don't say, can we talk? Don't say we have to talk. Instead of say, I've been thinking about, or what do you think about? So for example, instead of saying, you never spend time with me, you never do anything with me, you could say, well, what do you think about us going to eat next weekend together? Okay. And if your husband's like, oh, sure, that'll be great. Well, why do you want to go out to eat? You know, that opens up the conversation. You see what I'm saying? The difference? Instead of you just saying, can we talk? Or my husband says that I say, can I ask you a question? He hates that. But can we talk? Or we need to talk. Remember that brings up the defense mechanism. You don't want him to do that. So instead of saying that, tell him, hey, I've been thinking that we haven't been spending enough time together, and I think that we should spend some more time together. Or I don't think that we've been spending enough time with the kids, or I don't think that we've been spending enough time budgeting our money or looking at our finances. Okay, you have to leave room for him to feel comfortable, or them to feel comfortable having the conversation with you. If you approach them the wrong way, then you're going to get the reaction of however you approach them. Okay, there is a king and there is a kid in your husband. Whoever you talk to is who is going to present themselves. I'll say that again. There is a king and there is a kid in your husband. Whoever you talk to is who you're going to get. So if you're talking to him like a child, you're going to get the childish reaction. If you are talking to him like a king, you're going to get a king reaction. Okay, so check yourself when you are approaching your spouse with the conversation. Okay, do not beat around the bush. Men hate it when you keep beating around the bush. Keep it simple and stay on topic. If you're talking about if you're talking about the laundry, don't start talking about the dog. Okay, if you guys are talking about the bills, don't bring up your mother-in-law, okay? Stay on topic, and someone has to keep keep you guys on topic. So if you are irrational, he is irrational. Somebody has to be the rational one. So I need you, and I've been asked to type, what do we do if my spouse doesn't want to go to counseling? Go to counseling by yourself, so you can learn how to be a better communicator, so you can learn how to be a better spouse. Then while he acting however they want to act, you have went to counseling, you have taught yourself to remain calm. Sometimes it takes just one going to seek help to be able to help both of them, the couple, okay? Because you and your spouse, you are two. I seen a quote the other day. I cannot remember what that quote was about. Where I got that quote from. But what it says is that in a temple, the pillars of the temple stand together, but they stand separately. They are strong. They have to be strong individually, but they are still standing together. So if you're looking at a building, or if you're looking and they have the pillars, they're standing tall together, but they're still separate and they're strong. So if one of those breaks, then the whole thing falls down. So you have to learn how to get, one of y'all got to get stronger. One of you have to say, okay, we can't do this no more. If you don't want to go, I'm going to go. Because sometimes it takes you getting up and going for your husband to finally say, okay, I'm going to go. Because the Bible says that your actions, ladies, your actions can get your husband won over to the Christ side, to be a godly man. Your actions, not his actions. Your actions. No, I take that back. It's because it did say that a sanctified man can sanctify his spouse. So please forgive me on that one. But it specifically says in 1 Peter 3:1, it says that a woman's actions, a wife's actions can win over her ungodly husband. So sometimes it takes you, ladies, getting up, getting help, seeking help, calling a counselor, calling a friend that you trust, and getting what you need, getting yourself fed, so that way you can be the backbone that your husband needs you to be. Because right now, if your husband is sick, the head of the household is sick, and the woman is allowing him to be sick, allowing him to do all those crazy things, allowing him to do those things, the whole house sick, okay? When the head is sick, the whole body is sick. The enemy knows that all he has to do is mess with your mind, and you're going to destroy your body. That's all he does. He don't have to do nothing else but plant thoughts. He don't have to do nothing else but put little sneaky things to make you think about something else or make you react a certain way. That's all the enemy does, because he knows that if he puts a thought in your head, if you're not controlled by God, if you're not having allowed God if you haven't submitted yourself to God, then you will allow the enemy to use you in ways that you shouldn't be used. Ladies, y'all see me post that said the enemy wants you to react in anger because he doesn't want God to use you. Some of you be like, Ataya, I'm trying to talk to my husband. Every time a woman comes to me and tells me that they try to talk to her husband, he doesn't want to listen to her, my first thought is, how is she communicating to her husband? Is she approaching him the right way? Is she approaching him at the right time? Is she making him feel comfortable? What has she done in the past? The past conversations, has she always made her husband feel comfortable enough to talk to her? If she has not done any of that, and now all of a sudden you're trying to really talk about something very, very important and he doesn't want to listen to you, you might want to take a step back and look in the past and see how you have handled conversations with your spouse. When he has came to you and told you some of the most vulnerable things, when he has came to you and wanted to share something with you, how have you made him feel? Okay. Number 2, guys, do not manipulate your spouse. Some of you use manipulation to get what you want, and that is wrong. Do not manipulate your spouse to have a conversation with you. And I will give you an example. Don't invite them to the movies or invite them out to eat. Well, we can't go to the movies. We got Corona. But don't invite them somewhere. In the back of your mind, you're trying to have a conversation with him. You're trying to manipulate them into talking to you, because you're going to get a negative reaction. If you plan something just in the back of your mind to try to talk about what you found in the car or what you found on his phone, you're going to get a negative reaction, because he's going to first feel manipulated, and he's going to go back to that fight or flight that I was telling you about. You in your mind going to be saying, well, he upset because I found this, and he shouldn't be upset. He should be giving me the reason why I found this. No, stop your hand rolling. Stop all this. Stop. Just stop, okay? All right? You manipulated that man, so you started it off wrong. And God is not going to be in your mess, okay? When you decided to manipulate your spouse into having a conversation, you did not allow God to come in and work his magic in what you were trying to do. You automatically started the conversation off wrong, and the enemy was all in it. So now that you have allowed and walked in flesh and not walked in the spirit, now you're going to get a fleshly reaction from your spouse. They're going to shut down, or they're going to want to be defensive. Okay? God is not stupid. Okay, guys? He's up there just looking at you trying to do all these little sneaky things that you're doing. And he's just sitting up there like, and you just thinking you slick. Well, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. And God's like, nope, I'm not in that mess. So do not manipulate your spouse. Okay? Timing. I've talked about timing more than I've talked about anything else with communication. And since I've talked about timing a lot, timing is very, very important. Okay? Unless your spouse agrees, have your conversations at home. I have posted that if you feel like that your spouse is someone that is going to get in an uproar, that you can invite them. Let's have a conversation at dinner or something. Remember, not manipulating them, but inviting them out to dinner to have a conversation. You're letting them know that there is an agenda for this, but you want to be in an environment where you both feel comfortable, or you both don't have the ability to be able to show your butt. Okay? So you want to make sure that you're asking your spouse first before you go out to dinner or something like that. But have your conversations at home. Put the children to bed, okay? Get a babysitter. Remember what I said at the beginning of this video. Conversations are for a purpose. If you're trying to have an important conversation and your 3-year-old is pulling on your leg, your 3-year-old is screaming at you, screaming at your husband, you guys are not going to be able to have a great conversation. The message is not going to be clear. You're going to have distractions. That is a distraction. We talked about that in a couple of videos back. Distractions can cause the message not to get to the other person. So you need to make sure when you're having conversations with your spouse that you eliminate the distractions. Okay, get a babysitter for the children, put them to bed. And it's okay to wait to have that conversation. If it's not a good time to have the conversation, don't have the conversation. You don't have to have a conversation just because it's in your head. Okay. Calm down. You can have the conversation at a great time and get the rewards and the benefits from it that you want to get. Because part of the reason why you're probably having the issues with your spouse is because you're talking to them at the wrong time. Pick a better time to have the conversation. Okay? Don't have a hard conversation. Now, this is a good one. Do not have a difficult conversation before or after sex, okay? And let me tell you why, all right? Having a difficult conversation before or after sex, there's types of chemical reactions, things that go on during that time. So your mind is not clear. You guys ain't thinking straight. Y'all not thinking about the topic. Y'all not thinking about what's going on. You're still in whatever it is that you're in from just the passion that you guys just shared. So it's so important to make sure that you pick a right time to have a hard conversation with your spouse. Number 4, okay? Don't expect to have the conversation immediately, okay? Just because you want to have the conversation right now does not mean, and I kind of said it a little bit earlier, just because you want to have the conversation right now does not mean the conversation needs to happen right now, okay? Give your spouse time to think about the topic that you're wanting to discuss. This is really, really good, okay? So when you tell your husband that you want to have a conversation, it's okay. I do that to my husband. I'll tell him, I really want to talk to you about, I don't know, the dogs. Well, that's just an example, guys. But I really want to talk to you about the dogs. Now, my husband might say, well, I don't feel like talking right now. Okay, that's fine. But I would like to have that conversation, let's say within 48 hours, we can talk about it, okay? So I'll come back to you tomorrow and let's do that conversation. But I really would like to have that conversation. You're letting your spouse know that there is a conversation that you would like to have, and you're also giving them you're also giving your spouse time to prepare for the conversation. Surprising your spouse with a conversation, well, a hard conversation, will probably cause them to become defensive. If all of a sudden you guys are watching TV, or you're having a good time, or you're hanging out, or you're talking, or about something else, and you just start talking about how you're upset because he don't do what he needs to do around the house, or how you don't feel like he's spending time with you, you've kind of caught him off guard with that conversation. So when he's caught off guard, he may not give you the reaction that you want him to give you. So because he doesn't give you the reaction that you want him to give you, then you get upset, you get all angry, you think he's not listening to you, you think he's upset, when you should have thought about some things before you approach the situation. Prepare. Do you go to an interview, or do you go to do you get prepared for do you take a test without being prepared? No, you don't. So don't approach a difficult conversation with your spouse unprepared, okay? Prepare yourself for all things that could possibly happen in that conversation. Prepare yourself to get a good outcome, a positive outcome out of that conversation. Number 5, do not trap your spouse. And what I mean is, do not have a conversation, a hard, difficult conversation in a car, or in an airplane, or in a confined space, okay? Don't do that. That is, if your spouse is wanting to leave, that's why I say have the conversation at home. Because if things get heated and your spouse wants to leave, let them leave. Do not follow behind them screaming and yelling. Do not follow behind, or when he leaves, blow up his phone or do all these crazy things. Let him calm down. Sometimes your husband knows that his temperature is rising, and he knows that when it gets to a certain temperature, he cannot control himself. So he will try to leave. He will try to get away. And some women follow their men, and they start fussing at him even more. They start screaming at him, not understanding that all you're doing is the water is boiling. It's just boiling and getting hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter until it's going to explode. And then you get a horrible reaction from him, and you, oh my God, who are you? Why would you do that? But you came at that man. You were hitting on him. You were doing all these things that you shouldn't have done. No, there is no reason for anybody to put their hands on anybody. But ladies, don't be putting your hands on your husbands and thinking that stuff is okay. That man may need to push you off of him while you're going crazy. Just because he pushed you off of him don't mean he's abusing you. That means, because there are abusive men out there, but if you are attacking your husband, he has the right to defend himself and push you off of him. So do not do that. That is wrong. And if you are doing that, you need to get some help yourself. It is not just abuse for women. There are men out there that are verbally and physically abused by their women as well. That is wrong as well, okay? So we're not going to do that. If your spouse needs to get away and go somewhere and breathe and take time to themselves, be around their friends, whatever they need to get themselves calm, you let them go. If you need to do that, do that. Go take a bath, go take a shower, go take a drive. Get away when the conversation seems like that it is about to explode. Do not be, that's why I say if you're in a car or if you're in an airplane, Oh my goodness, where are you gonna go? When the conversation it starts to get really, really, really bad, where are you gonna go? And that's when we have all of these things that go on, you know, in vehicles with husbands and just all kinds of stuff that happens in these confined situations. That's what happened with COVID-19. So many people were used to being away from spouses. Then they came home and don't know how to deal with don't know how to have these difficult conversations, don't know how to be around each other. And I truly believe that is why one of the things that God is doing in this season, he's forcing families to come together. He's forcing husbands and wives to come together. But if you guys do not do it the right way, it's like scissors to me. I feel like husbands and wives are like scissors. Both of you are sharp, okay? You can cut something on each side. So if you coming together and you're not coming together the right way, you can mess yourself up. So that's something that I want you to really, really think about is, you know, when you're having those conversations with your spouse, don't try to trap them, okay? Men need to process what you told them. Guys do not, like us, we have all these wires going on in our brain. When you tell your husband something, he probably needs to get away and think about what it is that you just told him. What I try to do when I have a conversation with my husband is I try to tell him how I feel. Now I can go on and he'll tell me, it's how you're going on and on. But I try to tell him how I feel. And when I don't see that there's a reaction, I see him thinking, but I don't see him speaking much. I kind of just try to walk away and just give him time to think. Because he'll eventually come back and tell me, hey, babe, I thought about what you said, or I thought about some things, and I really want to talk to you about it, or this is what I think about it. So give him time to process what you just told him, okay? Don't be we need to talk about this now. You need to tell me what you didn't know, okay? If he says, you know what, I don't want to talk about that now, give him time to process what it is that you have just told him, because it might have been a shock. Some of us shock our husband. Remember I say, don't stop shocking this man. So you probably have shocked him, caught him out of the blue, and now he's sitting there like a deer in headlights, and you're going to get the fight or the flight reaction, okay? Agree on a great place to talk. That's number 6. Agree on a good place to talk. I talked about it's okay if it's okay with your spouse, go ahead and go somewhere that you guys can have a good conversation about what you guys got going on. But have it at home. It's in your comfortable place. Make it comfortable. Like I said, make it comfortable. Make the kids go somewhere, you know, make it a place where your spouse, because the goal of a conversation, we don't have conversations just to open up our mouths. These words that come out of our mouth, they mean something. Every time, and I will tell you, every time I finish with Wife Power Live, I feel drained. I feel tired, because all of these words, these are words. These are things that I'm giving you guys. So it's draining me to have these conversations. It's draining me to talk. That's why when you and your husband have been talking all day, y'all been fighting all day long, like arguing all day long, you feel tired. You feel drained, like you worked a 9 to 5. Well, it's because your words are meaning. They're latching on to things. They mean something. When you put them in the atmosphere, they mean something. So you want to make sure that when you're having a conversation with your spouse, you're not wasting that conversation. You guys are coming out of that conversation with a positive result that you guys are going to work towards being better individually and together. Okay? Communication, like I say, is about getting one message to another. That is the whole point of communication. I feel a certain way, or I have something that I need to tell you. So I need you to get the message. Understanding. The Bible tells us in all things, get an understanding. When you're having a conversation with someone, you're using the conversation to get an understanding. You're using the conversation to gain an understanding and to help someone to get an understanding, okay? To gain an understanding or to get an understanding is what your communication is for. If you're just opening up your mouth to open up your mouth, you need to check yourself and teach yourself to value your words. Everything that I tell someone, they are of value, okay? People should want to hear what you have to say because you're coming to them with positivity, you're coming to them with inspiration, and you're making them feel better than they did before they had the conversation with you. If you're making them feel worse, then you're not effectively communicating. Remember, effective communication breeds positive results. Ineffective communication, you're gonna get a low morale. They're gonna get upset, angry, and that is not what you want. All right, this is my last part of it, guys. I'm gonna give you the ABC of strategy. So those were my strategies I gave you, but now we're gonna talk about the ABCs of strategy because I gave you the ABCs of how to have difficult conversations. Now we're gonna do the last part of it, and then I'm done with you guys for the perfect timing. I'm done with you guys for the rest for the evening. And some of these is already repeats from the past weeks that we've done. So you probably have heard this again, but I'm gonna go a little bit more into detail about the strategies. Okay, so A, show respect. Do not down your spouse. Do not interrupt your spouse. Do not assume that your spouse knows what you're talking about. Those are how you show your spouse respect. I'll say them again. Do not down your spouse. So if you're having a conversation with them, do not go into that conversation talking about your spouse, putting them down, making them feel less than who they are. Don't do that. Do not interrupt your spouse. Let them talk, let them get their point out, let them get what how they feel out, and then you have your conversation. You tell them how you feel. Don't assume that they know what you're talking about. Sometimes we assume that our husbands understand everything that we're saying. Stop doing that. Every time you're in a conversation, you need to be a teacher, okay? Make sure, it's like he don't know what you're talking about. You have to make sure that he understands what you're talking about. So you need to say it clearly. You need to be short with it. Do not go around in circles. And you need to give him the facts. Men rely on facts. Give facts. Women, we like to give visions and we like to give dreams. We like to do all kinds of stuff. Give him the facts. Okay, babe, look, I want to start a business. That's great. But he's probably thinking to himself, okay, she want to start a business. That's more money. I don't know what we're going to do. You know, so he's already going to have a negative reaction to it. Don't do it that way. Honey, I want to start a business. This is how we can do it. If I do this, if I do that. When I started my businesses, I came to my husband with a plan. Hey, this is what I want to do. This is how we're going to do it. This is how I'm going to finance it. This is how we're going to this is where we can cut back at. This is where we can add on to. So when I was bringing it to him, he didn't feel like all the weight was on his shoulder. I had already came up with a solution for what I wanted to do. So when I brought it to my husband, we were able to talk about it together instead of him just feeling like that he had to come up with some money out of the blue on how to finance my dreams. It's not that he didn't support my dreams. It's just that his first thought is he got to take care of the family. He got to pay these bills. He got to make sure that we're got food on the table. So here I am coming with a dream and he's like, I love your dream, babe, but my thought is this. So when I came to him with solutions on top of the dreams and with facts, then he was more open to what I was saying. Be aware of your nonverbal communication. Maintain eye contact. Acknowledge what you heard. It's okay to repeat back what your spouse has told you. If your spouse has told you that they've been feeling neglected, if your spouse has told you that they have felt like that you don't do enough around the house, or that you don't help them enough around with the children, whatever it is that your spouse is telling you, repeat it back to them. Okay, honey, what I hear is that you feel like I don't help you enough around the house. Okay, well, they understand that you understand what they're saying. Now, understand that just because you acknowledge that you hear what someone says, that does not mean that you have to agree with what they say. I'll say that again. Just because you acknowledge what you heard does not mean that you have to agree with what you heard. Sometimes people just want to know that you heard them. They just want to know that you take their feelings into consideration. They just want to know that you care. And when you show them that you don't care about the way that they feel, then in their minds, they're feeling rejected. They're feeling like, okay, this person doesn't love me. This person doesn't care about my feelings. And that's not what marriage is about. You guys should make each other feel very comfortable to come to each other about anything and everything. Anything and everything. The best and the worst of each other. If you make your spouse feel like you're going to judge them, even if they show you they're ugly, they're not going to show you the ugly. They're not going to show you who they are deep down. They're going to hide that from you because they don't feel comfortable enough to tell you. It is your job as a spouse to make your spouse comfortable enough to approach you even with their worst. Because I remember when we took vows, it said for better or for worse. So if your spouse came to you and told you their worst, would you still accept them? If you know in your mind, I wouldn't accept it, I ain't gonna accept none of that, I ain't doing none of that. Already your spouse knows that because they know you. So they're gonna hide some things from you because you don't make them feel comfortable enough to come to you, even with their deepest, darkest secrets. They can go to God. And I've seen these posts fly around Facebook. You can go to Jesus, but you can't come to me. Okay, well, they're going to go to God. And they're going to keep going to God. And they're going to keep going to God until God finally lets them know, I got you. And you're going to be wondering why your spouse is not wanting to conversate with you and not wanting to be around you. Well, because you have not made them feel comfortable. And if you don't take care of something, just like anything that God gives us, if you don't take care of it, God will remove it. Okay? When God blesses you with something, take care of it. Cherish it. We don't have to have anything that we have. Our children, our spouses, our clothes, our money, anything that you have, God, your life, your breath, the eyes in your head, none of that is just a coincidence that you have it. God allows you to have it. So you need to be grateful to him for allowing you to have these things and cherish those things. Because that same man that you get angry with every time he tries to talk to you, or you get frustrated with, or you are impatient with, there are women that have lost their husbands. There are women that have had to bury their men. They can't talk to their husbands ever again. He's gone. So think about that. When you are constantly arguing with your husband and you don't want to back down and you don't want to put your pride to the side, because what if the last conversation you had with your spouse was one of the worst conversations you had with your spouse? Teach yourself to stay calm and use the conversations as a way to get a solution or a way to be able to get an understanding. Give and get an understanding, okay? My last point. Yeah, that's it. C, be prepared. Be prepared, okay? When you are going into a conversation with someone, when you go talk to your boss, do you just walk into your boss's office and just say, hey, I demand that you give me a raise. I demand that you give me this. No, you don't do that. You prepare yourself for the conversation. You probably be at home thinking, okay, if I told him this, then this will happen. I know this how this man acts, so I'm gonna do this. You prepare yourself. When you're gonna have an interview, you prepare yourself for an interview. So when you're gonna have a conversation with your spouse, be prepared. Back up your concerns and thoughts with facts. Y'all heard me talk about facts before. I'm gonna talk about it again. Don't go in there with assumptions. I think you doing this. I think this is happening. I think, or I have a feeling in my head. Why do you have a feeling in your head? Because sometimes you may be listening to the wrong voice. Okay? God talks to us and the enemy talks to us. So the assumption or the thought that you might have in your head might not have came from God. So you're going on a hunch that didn't even come from the right place. So guess what's going to happen when you bring that to your spouse? You're going to get a negative reaction. Okay. Now, I do believe that God will give you revelations. God will give us visions about things, certain things. That's why we have intuition. That's why women, you have intuitions. The Holy Ghost will let you know that something isn't right. But that is your business when you get that intuition to do your research, to find out the facts. When you find something that does not look right in your husband's phone, don't just go run to him and go off on him and act crazy, because guess what he's going to do? He's going to deny, okay? I found something in the phone. I found something in the car. I found something somewhere. Okay, let me step back, because God obviously somewhere, something, I'm not gonna say God, something's trying to show me something, okay? So I need to take a step back and do my research. Does my husband show me signs of that he's that type of person? Has my husband done anything in the past that shows me he's that? Because some of you ladies, when I talk to you, I've had ladies before, when I talk to them, they tell me, Ataya, it was nothing. I never knew anything could happen like this. And then when I break you down and I really go into the past, I tell you, okay, but he did this, or he shows you this. You didn't think that was a sign? Well, no, I didn't think that was a sign, Ataya. Girl, that was a sign, okay? Pay attention to the signs. So you need to take the thing that God, or the thing that the Holy Spirit has shown you, and that is your way of taking it and going to go do your little research about it, okay? So when you do approach your husband, you come with facts. Now, let's say you're Ataya. I just found out that my husband is having an affair because I found something on his phone. What do I do? Okay, so you found it on the phone. Does it specifically say that he is sleeping with that person? What is it that you're reading? Because sometimes we can be reading into things and it ain't really what it is. Now, if it's obvious stuff, okay, it's obvious stuff. But I'm gonna be honest, sometimes we can read into stuff and be like, okay, who is this? Just because your man say, how you doing? You mad. No, he can talk to people, okay? But if there's like some weird stuff going on, okay? Take a minute and ask yourself, God, can you reveal to me what is going on? Lord, reveal to me what I cannot see. Because you just going to your husband and approaching him, he's probably going to deny, like I said, deny. So the goal is to get him to open up, to get him to come clean, to get him to speak about the situation, to get you guys. And you can't have that conversation with him and you angry, okay? That's one thing. We talked about infidelity, and I did a video on how to approach these type of situations. And the one thing I told you guys is you have to honor your feelings. You cannot go into a conversation angry. However you go into that conversation is what you're going to get out of that conversation. If you come to me the wrong way, I've had to teach myself not to allow people, because the old Ataya would have went off in a minute. But the newer Ataya has taught herself not to do that. So teach yourself or honor your emotions, so that way you're not going into conversations angry, and you're not going into those conversations so upset to where you guys can't come up with a solution. Reach an agreement that's for both of you guys, not just for you, not just for him. Okay? I'm going to say that again. Reach an agreement that is for the both of you. Do not put your feelings aside because your husband will get angry, or you think that he if you don't say anything that it'll make him happy. No. I put a list about idolatry. When you do something because you don't want to step on someone else's toes, you are committing idolatry. Because when God tells you to do something, what if your husband told you no? What if God told you to get up and do something and then your husband say, I don't want you to do it? Who you gonna listen to? I'm gonna listen to God. Because at the end of the day, you should understand purpose. That's what you gotta understand about spouses. If your spouse understands purpose, the purpose in your life, then they're going to support you. My husband understands that there is purpose on my life. There's purpose on his life too, but he understands the purpose of and the how much this takes from me, well, from him sometimes when I have to get on my lives, when I run my businesses, when I'm with my clients. I have another business that I opened up. So he understands that. He understands the purpose, but I also have to make sure that I spend time with him after I get done with all this, because usually after I get done with my lives, I spend time with my husband. So you want to make sure that you come up with an agreement that is for the both of you, not just for him, beneficial for him, ladies, okay? Listen to Coach Ataya right now. When you're having a conversation with your husband, stop backing down, okay? If the conversation is not going to be beneficial to you both and he gets to be the tyrant and he gets to do whatever he wants to do and you're just going to back down and let him, guess what he's going to do? He's going to keep doing what he wants to do. If you have told him, honey, the next time you do this, I am going to do A, then you need to do A, okay? B and C, because you need to have a backup plan. Do not back down just because if he's abusing you, get away. But do not back down just because somebody wants you to, or they don't like what you're saying. No, God called us to be courageous and strong. So do not let someone intimidate you to not say your truth or speak the truth. If you are people of God, women and men of God, you speak truth. That is what we're supposed to do. Even when people don't want to hear it, we are still supposed to be speaking the truth, because the truth shall set you free. As long as you stay away from the truth, as long as you don't have these difficult conversations with your spouse, then you continue to allow the enemy to wreak havoc in your relationship, in your marriage, in your home. For this year, the remaining of 2020, for the rest on, as long as white power exists, I want you guys to speak your truth. Even if it pisses someone off, speak your truth, because your truth will set you free. Now, I want to talk about one little thing that I'm gone. When you speak your truth, you're going to make some people angry, okay? If when they leave, and I spoke about it a little bit, let them go. Don't think just because you spoke your truth, you did something wrong because the person left. No. The Bible tells us in 1 Corinthians 7 that if an unbelieving spouse wants to leave, let them go. God has called us to live in peace, okay? So if you speak your truth and that spouse does not like it and they want to leave, or they decide to go or whatever it is, let them go, okay? Because you have done your part. You have done what God wanted you to do, and that is speak the truth. Tell them that they were wrong. Tell them you will not accept the bad behavior. Tell them that there will be consequences. Tell them that they can't step back in this house with that nonsense. You put your foot down when you see that there is something attacking your house. And sometimes it is your spouse. So you have to, moms, wives, put your foot down and protect your home even when your spouse isn't doing what he's supposed to do. Because if you're doing what you're supposed to do as a wife, God will cover you. I tell you, what do I do if my spouse doesn't want to step in his position? God is everything you need him to be. He is a mother if you're motherless. He's a father if you're fatherless. He's a husband if you husbandless. He's a wife if you ain't got no wife. God is everything that you need him to be. So if your spouse decides to leave, you lean on God. And God will see you through the darkest times of your life. Because sometimes God needs to get that unbelieving spouse out the way so he can work on you. Because he gonna be working on that spouse, don't get me wrong. But your job is to work on yourself, become stronger, figure out who you are, figure out who it is that God wants you to be. So that way when you're having these conversations, you're not out of whack. You're not acting a fool. You're not looking like the person that can't control them yourselves. You're looking like a Christ-like Christian. Because when he sees or they see that they're not getting the reaction that they want out of you, and if you can constantly continue to do that, then eventually they will make a decision. Well, I can't argue with her no more. She ain't arguing with me no more. I can't fight with her. She ain't even crying like she used to. They're going to have to make a decision. And after they make that decision, God will handle the rest. Let God be God, ladies, gentlemen. Let him be God, okay? In these situations, never forget God when you're going to have a conversation. Never forget God in anything that you do. The Bible tells us to trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not into thine own understanding. In all thy ways, acknowledge him and he shall direct your path. So if all else fails and you don't know if you should approach the situation, pray about it. God will let you know. He'll let you know. And some of you ladies, he probably let you know. Don't go in and talk to that man and you go in there anyway. Let God lead you. And if all else fails, if you have done everything that I'm telling you guys today, and you're still having issues, there's still problems, this is what counselors are for, okay? This is what therapy is for. This is what Christian counseling is for. These is what we do for a living, okay? Counselors are mediators. We are the third party in the room. So when you guys cannot have the conversations and you can't, if you say, I cannot have a conversation with my spouse without us arguing. I cannot have a conversation with my spouse without us staying on topic. That is what a counselor is for. So if you go through all the things that I told you guys today and you are still struggling, I'm going to post my link on, I'm going to post the link on the page. Contact me today. So that way we can get the communication in your marriage back working, making it more effective and less ineffective in your marriage. Communication is the bread, the butter, everything in your it's the breath of your marriage. If you don't have communication, you guys are going to fail. That's it. How can two walk together unless they agree? That's in the Bible. If y'all don't agree with each other, you're not going to be able to make it. How can two walk together unless they agree? You guys have to learn how to agree, even if you agree to disagree. But learn how to agree with each other so that way the enemy can't come in and cause division. You allow God to come in and because God will not bless mess. So if you're already coming in with mess and you're messy, God will not bless that, and you will have negative reactions from your spouse. Okay, that's it. That's all I have for you guys today about how to have, I think so. Yeah, that's all I have for you guys today about having difficult conversations with your spouse. If you're just joining me, please share this video, guys. Please always share videos so that way we can get more people on Wife Power and get them to hear this good stuff that I'm talking about. But we talked about having those difficult conversations with your spouse. Do not avoid them. Have them. They're meant for you guys to have. Conflicts happen for you guys to be able to work through them. A lot of relationships would work if people just learn how to communicate with each other. So this is my last training on communication. I haven't figured out what I'm gonna be talking about next week, but all of these great videos will be uploaded into Wife Power University. So for those of you guys who don't know what Wife Power University is, it is my membership program that I have came up with to help you guys to be able to watch videos on certain topics at home. It is a $30 membership, but you get access to all kinds of videos. Every week I will be uploading videos into the membership about different things. Yes, we will still be having Wife Power University, but I will be doing videos about more detailed topics and about other things, and those things will be uploaded into Wife Power University for you to be able to watch them whenever you want. You get access to ebooks, you get access to all those things. Now, I will also tell you that because you're a part of Wife Power University, I will have guest speakers. Yes, we will have master classes. I love that idea. I will have guest speakers come and talk. So if you are part of Wife Power University, I will either upload a pre-recorded video, or I will give you guys an access to Zoom, so that way you can log in. I will have me and a special guest about a certain topic. God has blessed me to be connected to so many people. So we're going to have certain topics and certain people, professionals about domestic violence, professionals about self-care, professionals about so many things coming to talk to you ladies about, other than me, that can help you to learn more about yourself and about God. Remember, Wife Power is the ability to sustain your marriage by loving God, yourself, and your mate the right way. Okay? So you want to know how to do each one of us. And with Wife Power University, that is the goal. Podcast. My first episode of the podcast will be out this weekend, guys. If you have not followed my podcast on Spotify, please, I will post the link again. Please look for it so that way you can follow the Wife Power podcast. It's going to be so much fun. I'm excited about it. I even going to have my husband come on and do some episodes with me, so you don't want to miss it. So thank you guys so much again for all the support that you guys give me with Wife Power University and Wife Power Coaching and Counseling, Wife Power the book, just everything. I really appreciate it. God is doing some amazing things. Thank you guys for the kind messages that you guys send me, just letting me know how Wife Power has helped you, how Wife Power has helped your relationship. That motivates me. Keep doing it, because sometimes I have bad days and I ask myself, well, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this, Ataya? And to see a message from someone that says, Ataya, what you said yesterday, or the post that you post, or the stuff that you say really touches me, that gives me the drive to keep doing what I am doing. That gives me the drive to keep Wife Power University, to keep going harder, to keep pushing, because my goal is to attack the enemy, to punch him in his eye for what he is doing to marriages. Marriage was meant for good. It was not meant for what this world is showing it to be. So if we do it the right way, then we'll be able to have the marriage that God wants us to have. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, I come right now just thanking you for this opportunity to be amongst your people once again. God, everyone that hears my voice, everyone that sees this video, I pray that you touch their hearts. God, I ask that you give them peace. Give them calmness, God. Give them discernment, God. Give them the ability to decide when and how to act, Lord. Guide your people, Lord. Sometimes we just don't know what to do, and we just need you to come and give us a helping hand. Lord, I ask right now, if anyone is going to have any difficult conversations, if anyone is trying to approach something, they don't know if they should approach it. God, I ask right now that you give them clarification. I ask right now that you come in their minds and you let them know what it is that you want them to do. I ask that you guide them. I ask that you guide them to walk in peace and walk in love when they have these conversations, God. And Lord, at the end of the conversation, I pray that you have your way. I pray that there are positive results. I pray that there's going to be healing. I pray that there's going to be grace. I pray that there's going to be just happiness that comes out of the conversations, God. In Jesus' name, I pray and I thank you for all the things that you've done in my life and in those that are watching me. Amen. Guys, thank y'all so much again for joining me for another Wife Power Live. It's been a long day. Wife Power Live. I appreciate you guys for watching. I will see you next Thursday. I don't know what I'll be talking about, but we'll figure it out. Look forward this weekend, guys. Look for Wife Power University. I'll be dropping all the links this weekend. Look for them. Join it. Follow it. All those good things. God is doing some amazing things, and you want to be a part of it. Thank y'all. Have a blessed night. Oh, last but not least, I be going. But admire my beautiful jewelry today. If those of you guys that are interested in any of the jewelry that I wear on my lives, please look, and I posted a lot, Queen Bling Jewelry. My girl Andrea is $5 pieces. She always, anything that you guys see me wear on these lives or on my pictures or anything, she supplies me for the jewelry, and it's beautiful $5 pieces. These $5. So if you're looking for some nice, classy, beautiful pieces to add to your just regular shirts, Queen Bling Jewelry, please look her up. I'll post a link on my page like I always do. Thank you guys so much for all your help. Thank you so much for all your support. Thank you so much for all your love, all your prayers. I'll see you next Thursday.